All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another WNBA playoff video. We had two game threes yesterday, both on the same side of the bracket. We had the Las Vegas Aces in Las Vegas taking on the Seattle Storm, and we had the Indiana Fever heading back to Atlanta after a improbable game two win, a trouncing of the Atlanta Dream, and they got the win last night too. A little bit of a spoiler. The Indiana Fever won against the Atlanta Dream. They advanced to the semifinals. The Las Vegas Aces also advanced to the semifinals, so that makes the semifinals on the right side of the bracket. Indiana Fever versus Las Vegas Aces. Highly improbable what happened. But we're going to talk about the game threes a little bit. Both these games were very weird in the sense of they were all over the place. They were all over the place. So I'm gonna try to deep dive into it a little bit. I'm sorry if I don't get too deep in the weeds like I did in my last video. I think I got really deep in the weeds last video, but we're gonna try to talk about it a little bit. Talk about the next series up. Talk about what's next for the Dream. Talk about what's next for the Storm because we do talk about the losers here, not just the winners. So if you like what I say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So let's head down to Atlanta and talk about the Fever versus the Atlanta Dream. Fever and Atlanta Dream on the right side of your screen right now. You have Alicia Gray with the ball. You have Lexi Hull and Naz Hamlin going at each other on the bottom right. And yeah, let's chat about this. This game, I had this game on the background while I was doing something else, and I got to watch a lot of it. But what I gathered, this game was literally all over the place. It felt like neither team was comfortable the whole entire game until we got right to the end. And the Indiana Fever felt the most comfortable. And that's what won them this game. They won the game 87 to the Atlanta Dreams 85 with help from Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston, Odyssey Sims, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull. The whole starting five came out. This is exactly what you needed. And what I talked about all series was you can't just have one person show up. You can't just have Kelsey Mitchell with 24 or 34. You can't just have Aaliyah Boston with 15 and 10. That stuff is the prerequisite to what needs to happen with the other players on this team. And Natasha Howard brought it. 3 assists, 6 rebounds, really good stuff. Odyssey Sims, the surprise of the series for me. I thought she was a no-show for a majority of the series, and she popped off in this critical game three. 16 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 of 4 from three, 5 of 15 overall from field goal. Took a couple ill-advised shots, but hey, they were going in for the most part. And she was dragging attention towards the paint and kicking it out or getting fouled. She took what is this? She took 7 free throws, made 5 of them. So she was getting a lot of the defenders' attention and bringing them towards the paint. Um, Next up, Kelsey Mitchell has been the only one I think that showed up in all of the games, if I remember correctly, in all three of these games. 24 points, only 1 turnover, only 1 personal foul, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, um, 7 of 16, 3 of 6. She was chucking shots up there sometimes, but that's what you need to do sometimes. You need to, as I've learned, and as other people have coined, you just need to empty the clip. This is your win or go home game. You just need to empty the clip. Just throw up as many shots as you can. Half of them go in, half of them don't. You win the game, you look like a hero. You lose the game, you look silly, but they win the game. So Kelsey Mitchell's 24 looks really good. Lexi Hull's game, not great. 3 personal fouls, 2 turnovers, 10 points, but she had two steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 of 5 from three, 3 of 7. Played some really inspiring defense, and I think this whole series was really hard for her on the defensive end, but she never wavered from her defensive prowess, and she was just out there mucking it up. Yeah, it was a muck it up game for Lexi Hull. She was mucking it up. Versus, you get 2 more of these fouls, you're at 5, then you're not mucking it up. You're sitting on the bench. But to keep it around 3 to 2 personal fouls, just mucking the game up for the other team, and it really did help down the stretch. Um, Not much off the bench for them. I mean, the bench did play. Nobody scored 5 or more points off the bench. You had Brianna Turner with 2. Her length was very much needed. She had 5 rebounds on the game, 2 blocks, very good stuff. But offensively, really wasn't there. Michaela Timpson, 5 rebounds, 2 points. Shea Petty, 3 points. Ariel Powers, 4 points, and that's pretty much it. Now, what happened throughout the course of this game? Um, Again, nobody looked comfortable. Everybody seemed like they were walking on eggshells, and everybody knew this was such a big game. There was a lot of pressure on the Fever because nobody picked them to win the series. Literally, nobody picked them. I didn't pick them to win the series. I thought the Atlanta Dream might even sweep them, but here we are on September 19th talking about the Fever going to the semifinals and getting their first playoff win as a franchise, series win as a franchise since 2015. 10 years, a whole decade since they last won a WNBA playoffs series. Now back to the game. Uh, it was so critical for the Fever to remain calm because you're playing with house money, you have nothing to lose, and the big sticking point for me was they kept the game close. They kept it close enough, just close enough. In the first quarter, it was 29-27 Indiana. In the second quarter, it was 20-29 Atlanta. In the third quarter, it was 20 Indiana, 17 Atlanta. And then finally, down the stretch, in the fourth quarter, it was 18-12 Indiana. So they just stuck around. They did not bend the knee. They stuck around, and they stuck around because Aaliyah Boston tried her tried her damn hardest against the Atlanta Bigs, and I give Aaliyah Boston so much credit because I thought she was going to get work this series by Brittany Griner, by Brianna Jones. I thought it was done, and she did get work. She a lot of times she looked silly, she looked embarrassed, but she kept her head high. She fought through everything, and you fight in the first game, in the second game, to get to this third game, and you hope your teammates show up. And her teammates showed up. Um, they how do I explain this? They they really got in the Atlanta Dream's head, and Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta was prepared to deal with the amount of we want to at least win one game. That's the first point. But hey, we're going to game three. It is away. We're in Atlanta, but we could win it. We already just won one game. We're hot right now. I don't think Atlanta was fully prepared for that, and I thought they could just. I think they thought they could just walk into this game, roll right over them like they did in Game One, the Atlanta Dream to the Fever, and they didn't take it seriously enough. And I think the Fever took this game so seriously, like it was Game Seven of the finals, that's what won them this game. I think a majority of the issues came from for the Dream came from the Fever's pace, and there were some defensive lapses. There were times that like Lexi Hole, Odyssey Sims, Kelsey Mitchell just couldn't deal with the Atlanta Dream's bigger guards, bigger forwards. But but the Fever made it through. They made it through. I think this was a game where the Dream needed to play better defense. And I don't think they were completely locked in defensively. I think offensively they really tried. They really tried their butts off. But defensively is where they really got stuck. They stopped Aaliyah Boston for the most part throughout the course of this game, 6-11 from three. But the other people, I don't think they were prepared for. I think they were prepared for the Indiana Fever to shoot a lot of threes, and the Indiana Fever did shoot. How many they shot? 22 as a team, and the Dream shot 23 as a team. So the Fever shot less threes, one less three. So it was the disparity wasn't there. It was in the paint. It, it was in the paint. Even though the Fever only shot 41% from field goal, and the Atlanta Dream shot 50, the, the Indiana Fever somehow came out and won this game. Improbable. Again, improbable is the word of the day for sure. Talking about the Atlanta Dream, but before we talk about the Atlanta Dream, I want to talk about the last couple minutes here. Let me see if I can pull it up. I want to pull up the play by play. The end of this game was so, I just want to say so stupid. Um, let me go to the fourth quarter here. Was so stupid because I have a pet peeve about WNBA ATOs after timeouts, and this was one of the worst out of after timeouts I've ever seen, drawn up by Coach Temesco of the Atlanta Dream, and I thought he was a really damn good coach this year. Let's see. So we get within a minute here. Lexi Hall makes a driving layup on Brianna Turner with 43 seconds left to give them the lead. Or, let me make sure I'm reading this right. No, to not to give them the lead, but to bring them within one. And then Ryan Howard misses a 24-foot 3-point jumper. We'll talk about her in a minute. Aaliyah Boston gets a defensive rebound. They go up the floor, and this is when it really started falling apart for the Atlanta Dream. They played good paint defense. They played really good defense on Aaliyah Boston, but there was this jumbling of the ball, and it ends up at the top of the key in Odyssey Sims' hands, and people are trying to find their defenders. The Atlanta Dream players are trying to find the people they're guarding, and they're looking around. And in that split second, Ozzy Sims has a full view of the court, and she sees Aaliyah Boston wide open underneath the basket, and she whips it to her. And Aaliyah Boston makes a layup for 2 points, giving the Indiana Fever lead. The Dream take a full timeout. The Dream take a full timeout. Now it's within. Now it's under. I guess 8 seconds. Yeah, 8 seconds. Now it's under 8 seconds. They go to inbound the ball. They have one more timeout left. They have one more timeout, and I think it's Ryan Howard. Yeah, Ryan Howard's inbounding, and the defense on this. It's right by the Fever bench too. This defense on the inbound pass is so crazy. They have to take another timeout, and once they took that first timeout, everybody knew. I knew. The Fever knew. Everybody knew they were going to try to run the exact same play. Because no time came off the clock. You just have to run the exact same play, and they did. And they tried to run the exact same play. They read it. The Fever read it so simply. Um, Bad pass from Ryan Howard. Lexi Hall steals it. Naz Hamlin takes the personal foul. Um, and then takes the personal foul on Odyssey Sims because Lexi Hall whipped it to Odyssey Sims in the backcourt. And then that was the game. That was the game. Um, Odyssey Sims did make 2 of her free throws to make it a tighter game, and they tried to get it back down the floor, and they just couldn't. They just couldn't get it back down the floor. Um, let's talk about the Atlanta Dream, and the big thing that a lot of people were talking about online was Ryan Howard's shot selection down the stretch. Down the stretch, it was not good. It was not good. 16 points, 1 block, 2 steals, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Pretty okay, right? You look at this field goal percentage: 7 of 18, 2 of 8 from three in a closeout game. In a closeout game, you make one of those, the game might be different. I'm talking about the threes. Jordan Canada, who I talked shit about for a lot of this series, 18 points, showed up really big, 10 assists. Was probably the most comfortable, one of the most comfortable players on the floor throughout the course of the game. Um, Alicia Gray, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 1 of 3 from 3, 9 of 15. This was a very quiet 19 because I didn't feel like Alicia Gray had 19. I felt like she had like 10. Naz Hamlin, 9. Brianna Jones, 12, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, 4 personal fouls, though. Alicia Gray did have 5 personal fouls as well. She struggled this whole series with the personal fouls. Naz Hamlin, 5 personal fouls as well. I think this comes down to the Atlanta Dreams coach getting outcoached by Stephanie White, and the backcourt kind of being after game one. This backcourt of Alicia Gray and I guess the backcourt was technically Jordan Cannon and Alicia Gray, but the 2 main ball handlers, I would say, Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard, not showing up really after game one at all. I mean, 19's good, 16's good, but like down the stretch, what does it mean? You know, I need to see something down the stretch, and I didn't see it down the stretch. And we look at off the bench. The bench didn't give you anything at all. Brittany Griner, 5 points, no rebounds. As like a 7 foot player, no rebounds. Um, yeah. Let's talk about what's next for the Atlanta Dream. What's next? Um, I genuinely don't know what's next. I think you run this back and you hope you can duplicate this same good. They were 30-14 on the season. And they were 6-16 at home. You try to see if you can replicate this and maybe get a better matchup in the playoffs. Because I think if you match up against any other team that wasn't this team, because you didn't take them seriously enough, and that's another issue we can talk about is them not taking the Fever seriously enough. That's a coaching thing as well. Your coach not preparing you for this team that's been through it all. Um, but he was a first year head coach, so I can't be mad at him. But um, this game, this series was just not in their favor, and I think you go against. Let's see who else is left. Who else is you got the Suns and the Liberty. Well, not the Mercury and the Liberty. That's a better matchup for this dream team. The Aces and them. That's a better matchup for the Dream. Um, I don't think anybody's touching the Lynx, but maybe the Lynx is a better matchup for this Atlanta Dream team. Um, I think they just got a bad roll of it, and I would say just run it back. And that's all I really have to say about this Dream team. Just run it back. I don't. There are some things around the edges maybe you could do, but with the expansion draft coming, with a lockout maybe imminent, I don't know how much movement there's going to be, and this might be a team that might be able to keep it together and run it back and have another good year. So yeah. Next game, my Las Vegas Aces versus the Seattle Storm. Man, oh man, this game was so freaking annoying. And I'm gonna fan out for a second. I'm gonna be a fan for a majority of the section, but I'm gonna give the Storm their props. Um, all right, what were we talking about? I had to take a little break there. We were talking about Aces Storm, and oh, I was saying I was gonna be a fan for a minute. This Seattle Storm team pissed me the fuck off. I didn't mean to say that. They pissed me off. Um, this team was so unnecessarily hard to beat. Um, in the end, they matched up really well against this Las Vegas Aces team. They matched up extremely well. And Nneka Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins, really were giving the Aces the work. 16 points for Nneka, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, no personal fouls, 4 of 13 overall from field goal, 1 of 3 from 3. Skylar Diggins, 13 points, 3 steals, 1 block, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 of 13 overall from field goal, 3 of 5 from 3. Hit some really important shots, and they did not dip too deep into their bench. They had the starters out there for a majority of this game for a good reason. Um, I think Erica Wheeler was out there for some offensive punch at some point, and then Dominique Mongola was also out there for some defensive punch at some point during this game, and she did a really good job on, well, she did her best at some points on Asia Wilson. Dominique Mongola did. So shout out to her. And this was really the Asia Wilson game, and nobody could stop her. There were times throughout this game where they slowed her down, but they just really couldn't stop Asia Wilson for the Aces. And I do want to talk about some of the defensive stuff the Storm did. They threw a bunch of different bodies at Asia. They threw Nneka on her for a majority of this game, then Dominique, and then they even had Gabby Williams on her at some points. Um, I feel like this team is missing some size for the Storm, just a little bit, a little younger size. Dominic Mongola is a good start, the draft pick last year, but I don't particularly like the rest of this team. It's like a bit old, and you're not gonna get good draft picks if you're old and still in the playoffs. But now you have Dominique, and she's gonna be the lone young player on this team with a bunch of older players. And I don't see that as a championship team, even though this team almost beat the Aces. Um, the final score was 74 Aces, Seattle Storm 73. Now to move on to my Aces. It was a tough game. It was a rough game for everybody that wasn't named A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson tied her career high, or her playoff career high, with 38 points, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, um, 14 of 26. She emptied the clip, like I said earlier when we were talking about Fever Dream. Um, A'ja Wilson emptied the clip. She was doing all types of moves. She was going crazy. It was such a joy to watch. Some other people got involved: Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd, Jackie Young. Um, they did okay. They just did enough, and the Aces are lucky that they're gonna get to play the Fever next, because I think the Fever don't match up well against this Ace team. I don't think they have anybody that can guard A'ja, and I think I don't want to count the Fever out, but I think this is the best case scenario for the Aces to go back to the finals, and we'll talk about that another time. We can talk about that another time, what that would mean for the Aces if they did make it back to the finals. But to talk about the game a little bit more, this game was so unnecessarily tight because the only ace that was really, really going was A'ja. Chelsea Gray had some heat check moments. 12 points, 2 of 3 from 3, 5 of 8 overall from field goal, 5 turnovers, not the best. 2 blocks, 2 steals, which is really good. Jackie Young also had 4 steals, 8 assists for Chelsea Gray, 14 for Jackie Young, 4 steals, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 6 of 12. Jackie Young's rebounding really didn't show up this game, but throughout the course of this latter half of the regular season and the playoffs, Jackie Young's rebounding has been really, really good. Like, she's had some impactful rebounds and tip outs. Like you tip the ball out to your team to get a different look, to get another look, and I think it was just really um, something I wanted to note here is that Jackie Young's rebounding is actually kind of crazy when it comes down to it. And for this Aces team, I think they almost got outcoached and they almost got outplayed. I think A'ja Wilson should have done this last game, game 2. Just empty, just go for it. I know she was really consistent at the course of the game, but at the end of the game, she wasn't as great. But she was great, really great at the end. Um, the defensive stuff was sort of worrying, but I think that's always been a worry for this Aces team, and that they aren't the biggest team, but they also aren't the fastest team. I mean, Jackie Young gets down there, gets in the paint. Melissa Smith is a decently good rebounder for her size, but sometimes just gets outworked. Um, Christian Bell, Kirsten Bell, again, another dud, 0 points, played 20 minutes. I don't know why she's out there. She had 7 rebounds, I guess. Um, and off the bench, I mean, Jewel Lloyd, 4 points. She played 29 minutes. She didn't really have a lot of good looks, and I respect her for not chucking up the ball as much as she probably could have, and I know she can. And Dana Evans, no show. 2 points, did not make a three, only made her free throws, 1 of 1 from the free throw line. And as a team, they shot 25% from 3 and 45% from field goal, which is crazy. And the Storm shot 38% from 3 as a team. And I want to talk about the end of the game. The end of the game was wild because the Seattle Storm did what they did in game 2. They went on a little run and they almost won the game. But the Aces defense, I guess like the scrambling defense of the Aces, you could call it, down the stretch. really did help. Um, the ball was bouncing around at the end. I don't want to go through it like I did with the Dream Fever ending because it really is a just bunch of people poking the ball hitting the rim, coming off, bouncing around, it, ending up in the Storm's hand again, going to um, Gabby Williams and her shooting a shot after the buzzer had gone off, and then the Aces turned off the lights, which is funny. But um, this game was really just. It could have been a disaster for the Aces, and I really grew to hate this Storm team. This Storm team annoyed me so much because I'm a firm proponent of when you are the better team, when you are the higher seed, you just need to take care of business. You can't let these teams come in and do you dirty, because that's exactly what happened to the Fever. The Fever came in, um, they dominated the Dream because they didn't take them seriously enough, and I was worried it was going to happen to the Aces, but it didn't. And now the Aces are heading to the semifinals to play the Fever in what I think will be a competitive series, but I think the Aces can get it done. I think it's a 5 game series, so you only need to win 3 games. So I think the Fever get 1 game, and I think the Aces um, go on to win the series. I don't think anybody's stopping A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson's on a mission. And to talk about the Storm and the season they had and what's next for them, as we always do. This Storm team was pretty surprising to me. They added Brittany Sykes midseason. Dominique Mongola started getting a lot more minutes towards the end of the season. I do want to give her a big shout out. This was her rookie year, her first playoff taste, and she's only 19. She's not even 20 yet, and she's so much to do. I wasn't particularly high on her. I'm not particularly high on overseas prospects in the WNBA because sometimes the numbers can be a little inflated. The talent that they play against is questionable. But Dominique Mongola got comfortable towards the end of the season and really played well. And to talk about what's next, if if Dominique Mongola is the only young player they're gonna have for the next like 2-3 years because this team wants to compete. I mean, you have Gabby Williams, Nneka, Skylar, Brittany Sykes. I'm a tad bit concerned because this is probably your ceiling is like a first or second round exit. You're not making it to the finals with this culmination of talent. I think Nneka at times looked really old. I think Skylar at times looked old, but she got it together and she really was in there in critical moments. Brittany Sykes was just okay. She was okay enough. She's serviceable. I think at this point she's a bench player. I don't think she's a starter anymore. I think the big thing you need is Dominique Mongola improvement, and Nneka and Dominique in the front court next season might be a scary sight. Um, but the rest of this team, I'm not too confident in. I doubted them last preseason or last off season, and I'll doubt them again this off season. But I just don't see where you go from here because it's hard being a team that's in the playoffs and with one young player, and then you can't filter more young players in to help Dominique in the future. You're gonna help her now. You're gonna help develop with Nneka and Skylar, and those are really good vets. Brittany, but in the future, there's gonna have to be a lull where you actually have to rebuild this team because you can't be a playoff team and a lottery team and get good high draft picks. It just doesn't happen. So yeah, great season for the Seattle Storm. Very impressed. Very, very, very impressed. And my Aces, man, they get to move on. I was about to crash out yesterday if they didn't move on, but they did. And we have the one side of the bracket set. Um, Obviously, A'ja Wilson on the left hand side of your screen. I forgot to mention that, but on the right side of the bracket in the semis, we have Aces, Fever. We have the Minnesota Lynx moving on the left side of the bracket, and they are awaiting their semifinals matchup, whether it be the Liberty or the Fever or the Mercury. I always get that confused. The Fever or the Mercury or the Liberty on the left side of the bracket might play or will play the um, Minnesota Lynx, and that game's tonight. So you guys will hear from me on Monday, and we'll have our semi matchups. They might do game one. Is there gonna be a game? I have to check now because you got me thinking about it. When is game one? I think game one is Sunday. Yeah, so you will hear from me about game one on Monday, and that next week we also get MVP. We also had Defensive Player of the Year, but we're already so deep into the video. I don't want to talk about it now. We'll talk about it then, because that's an interesting conversation as well. But yeah, that's it. If you like what I say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like vibes, consider subscribing. Sorry there was that long pause and I came back. Um, had something to take care of, but I am back. So, um, where I was back. I don't know what I'm saying. I will see you guys all next time. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.